be quite stressful being a terrorist.
Boom, mic drop.
I think they've done something to my sister.
If I were you, I would run, because if I ever lay eyes on you again, I'll destroy you.
You gotta ask yourself, if this place is so perfect, why is it upside down?
Spying meets comedy with David Schwimmer, the quirky Ross from Friends, and a bold adaptation of Aldous Huxley's groundbreaking novel, Brave New World. I'm Clovis Casali, welcome to Encore. We have for you today a summer edition of what's new on the small screen, and France 24's TV critic Dheepthika Laurent has carefully selected a few you should not miss. And Deepti, we start today with a drama out on Netflix. It's called Stateless. It's on a detention centre in Australia.
That's right. It's a limited series co-produced by Cate Blanchett and produced by ABC Australia and Netflix. And basically looks at, through the eyes of 4 different characters, their lives inside a fictional detention centre, which is really a prison in all but name, where asylum seekers wait sometimes years before being processed. Take a look.
Australia's detention regime is a reflection of our highly developed migration system, enabling us to determine both the identity of asylum seekers and the legitimacy of their claims for protection.
You are all starting a new life. You cannot hold on to the past.
Please, this has been a mistake. I am not a criminal.
There are places like this all over Australia. Why? Because we are terrorists.
Can you confirm that an Australian citizen has been illegally detained in Barton?
And it's an interesting take on Australia's immigration policies, with one of the main characters, a white woman claiming to be a German backpacker. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's right. As I mentioned, there are 4 different stories. Now, one of those stories is that of a character called Sophie Werner. She's a flight attendant caught up in a cult run by a couple played by Cate Blanchett and The Wire's Dominic West. She runs away from the cult, ends up in this detention center, claiming to be German and begging to be deported back to Germany. Now, the other 3 stories are quite different. There's Amir, an Afghani man fleeing the Taliban with his family. There's Cam, who's a naive father of 3 who's torn morally by the mistreatment of asylum seekers that he witnesses as a prison guard. And Claire, who's a general manager sent in really to shut down whiffs of rebellion inside the center and keep the press out.
Does the show work for you? Did you like it?
Look, it's slow moving, so you need a bit of patience. You find yourself cheering for the migrants, but also sympathizing with some of the detention center workers who are often caught in an impossible situation. And, it's interesting. It's not just a critique of Australia's immigration policies. It could well be a critique on that of Europe as well. It's actually based on a true story.
Wow.
That of Cornelia Rao, a mentally ill woman whose plight in an Australian detention center in the early 2000s finally got the public angry and sparked outrage. My only criticism with the show would be that her story dominates the series a bit too much. I felt uneasy watching it. I felt as though we needed her story to make the plight of the other asylum seekers more palatable or more pertinent.
Okay, let's move to the next show you selected for us. It's on the US network Starz that has just released a new show called P-Valley, which looks at the lives and struggles of a strip club, and it's set in Mississippi, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's quite an unusual show. I haven't seen anything like it on TV before that takes us where all the drama takes place inside a strip club with an almost exclusively African-American cast. We are inside a club called The Pink. It's run by Uncle Clifford, a protective, gender-fluid club owner who's facing financial struggles. And you have an eclectic group of strippers with their own problems. There's Mercedes, who's a lead dancer. There's Autumn, who's a newcomer with a shady past. And there's a young mother, Miss Mississippi, who's got an abusive husband. Take a look.
Circle up. Come on.
Tonight, we gon' stack that Skrilla. My girls got bills to pay.
The show must go on.
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee as a Black Southern girl. It's so odd that strip clubs are part of your coming of age. Strip club culture was not something to be ashamed of. You go to have birthday parties at strip clubs. It is the center of so much social activity. I always felt like it was a fun space. Even though obviously it's a space of exploitation, these women have been able to carve out a space for themselves that's very liberating within this space. It's interesting to see how empowering that space can be, whether it is financial empowerment, empowerment of expression, sexual freedom.
Interesting to hear from the director. Obviously very well researched. Did you like it? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I really like the show. I won't tell you what the P stands for, so if you're really curious, you can figure it out yourself. I liked it because it was fast-paced, it's gritty, it's addictive, it's also very authentic to the southern United States, even so much that you actually need quite a bit of concentration to understand the local language and the local slang. And, you know, the amount of work put into it is quite impressive. Katori Hall, who we just saw there, spent 6 years consulting with real-life strippers. She also brought in an all-female team to direct the episodes. And the result is you have a show that's sexy without being sexual, where stripping is businesslike and it gives women the power. So it's really refreshing to see that. And of course, a show like this is just perfect timing, going into the heart of a Black community at a time when racial inequality is at the forefront of political discourse there.
Well, a lot of competition in the world of streaming, obviously. US network NBC has just launched its own service called Peacock, and they really are trying to storm the business with new shows starring famous faces like David Schwimmer, who you can see on our screens. David Schwimmer, obviously Ross from Friends. Tell us more.
Yeah, that show is Intelligence, a new British workplace comedy set in the British government's cybercrime unit. It features a group of talented, misfit workers whose world is shaken by the arrival of this arrogant NSA agent played by David Schwimmer. Take a look.
Harry, Joseph Harris, so great to finally meet you.
This is Chris Cranfield, Director of Cybersecurity at GCHQ.
No way. I was expecting a guy.
Will he be here long, then? Providing he plays by the rules.
Watch and learn, babe. I think we can learn a lot from each other. Especially from me.
Do you have an update on China?
Did some pretty breathtaking work on that.
This is just taken from Wikipedia.
Right, you have that here? I think he is, in many ways, just the opposite of Ross on Friends. I kind of love the opportunity of playing this kind of role, this arrogant, ignorant. Let's face it, he's also racist, misogynist, homophobic. I mean, he's not the most likable character on paper. But the challenge that both Nick and I really were excited by was, how do we make a guy like this sympathetic?
Watching that trailer reminded me a bit about Space Force with Steve Carell. It's the traditional half-hour sitcom format, fairly short, just 6 episodes. Was it too much? Was it not enough for you?
It's a bit of both, actually. Yeah. It was a bit too much and too little at the same time. The show was created by Nick Mohammed, who actually plays one of the characters, Joseph. He's this sort of hapless, subservient guy. You know, I found the casting a little predictable. You have the no-nonsense boss, you have the loopy character, you have the rebellious one. You know, I get the premise, but it misses the mark for me. The jokes are very on the nose.
I'm a bit disappointed there.
Yeah, I was disappointed too. They fall flat at times. Sometimes you're just like, it's not that funny.
And what about David Schwimmer?
Look, David Schwimmer was good. He delivers a decent performance, but even at times I felt his performance was a little contrived.
So you're going to take us through 3 other shows carefully picked coming out this summer. One is released on platform Peacock, we were just talking about, and it's based on Aldous Huxley's novel, Brave New World.
Yeah, that's right. In addition to Intelligence, Peacock is releasing this new TV adapt. It stars Demi Moore and Jessica Brown Finley, who you'll recognize as Lady Sybil from Downton Abbey.
Well, I won't, because I don't... Well, anyway.
You didn't watch Downton Abbey.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, fans of Downton Abbey will certainly recognize her. The series is based on, of course, Aldous Huxley's dystopic 1932 novel, which predicted a world without war and poverty and disease, where humans are conceived in in labs. Well, it feels like the book has sort of caught up with the reality, and the show that we see on Peacock is very modern, and it's startlingly spot on. It's a world of mood stabilizers, casual sex, and instant gratification.
Okay, well, next up, Apple TV has released a musical rom-com, Little Voice, co-produced by American filmmaker J.J. Abrams, which is, of course, the man behind the TV show Lost, and who also directed the last 2 Star Wars.
That's right. And he was also behind Alias, the TV show.
Busy man.
The very busy man. He's got his name behind Little Voice now on Apple TV Plus, starring Brittany O'Grady, who is a young actress known for her work on another musical drama called Star by Lee Daniels. So she plays Bess, a talented, aspiring musician lacking in confidence, trying to make it in the music world, balancing family and new romances in New York. It's sweet, it's earnest, it lacks a bit of substance. I found it a bit cliched, but look, the music's great, and it's probably going to be one that you'll watch for breezy summer viewing.
Breezy and light, but does it get much lighter than Netflix's new show on dating?
Call it the coronavirus effect, Clovis, but Netflix has been doubling down on its dating shows. So not just 1, but 3 that have come out recently. You have the Brazilian version of a dating show called Dating Around, a new release, an Australian autistic dating show called Love on the Spectrum, and Indian Matchmaking, a new show about a Mumbai matchmaker who flies around the world to pair up single rich Indians. It actually received a lot of backlash for what many saw as glorifying the caste system and sexism. Look, I don't exactly agree. I think it is, unfortunately, the reality of an Indian society which continues to pride light-colored skin, wealth, and looks, and sees marriage as a union between families and not just individuals. Look, it's worth a first look. Whether you continue is another story.
Deepthi, thank you very much. Well, that's it for today, and thank you all for watching. We leave you with a look at Indian Matchmaking out on Netflix. And remember our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
In the beginning, it was kind of awkward. So...
Hi.
Hi.
It's our time now. I live in North Carolina. You live in Austin. How does that work for you?
I want to see you again.
This is why I'm a matchmaker.
This is a new process for me, but what if things are about to turn around?
Giving happiness to others.